Okay, welcome back. We are in lab number 5, where we're going to connect desktop to cloud to desktop, desktop to cloud. We're going to do that piece of magic, which I think is the main value proposition of the whole sort of Power Automate platform, connecting the new to the old. So we're going to do lab number 5. It's a short lab, this one, very, very short. It is this one that we're going to be doing, which is here. Yep, it's lab number 5. As always, you can follow along with me here and pause as you need to, or you can do the labs yourself. You can do the labs self-contained in the using the PDFs. All the prior labs must have been completed before you do this one, otherwise it's not going to work. So make sure that you have done the prior labs, and of course, if you get stuck, we're here. Log a support ticket. Bottom right hand corner, there'll be a little support bubble. Just go into there. We've got help articles, and of course you can log an email or chat to us in real time if we are online. Okay, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to do is just reiterate how Power Automate Desktop talks to the cloud. So you should have done this as part of the tenant setup, but let's just refresh our memory. Inside, so make sure you're logged into your test tenant. You can see this here. Go into settings, and we're going to look at machine settings. So the way that Power Automate Desktop talks to the cloud is you register your Power Automate Desktop machine into an environment. So you should have your machine, it should look something like this, where it's registered inside your environment here. And this is how we will connect to the cloud. This is how we will connect. One thing I want to do is I'm just going to change the name here. So I'm going to call this Tony Lab Machine. So you can rename it so it's something more meaningful, and that update will flow through to the cloud, and we'll see that in a second. So just make sure that you have this enabled. Because it is this that will that creates that connection. There's another way of doing it using an on-premise gateway. That's the legacy method. This is the new method and the preferred method moving forward. So what we're going to do now, we're going to go to the cloud, and we're going to Cloud Flows. And the purpose of this lab is just to test that connection and just to show you that connection in action. The next lab, in lab number 6, I will talk a lot more about the different types of cloud flows, and we'll create a cloud flow with various things. So just click along with me on this one. Bear with me, and for the next one, we'll go into a lot more detail. So I'm going to click on New Flow here, and we're going to go to Instant Cloud Flow. And we're just going to call this Cloud to Desktop Test. And how we're going to trigger the flow is manually trigger a flow. Click on that. And then click on Create. So I will explain a lot of those things in more detail in the next lab. So we're going to manually trigger a flow. And what we're going to do here is just click on a new step. And there's a operation, a connector called Desktop Flows. Click on that. And we're going to run a flow built with Power Automate for Desktop. So click on that, and you'll see here you've got a couple of options. So I mentioned that there's a couple of ways of connecting to a machine. The first method of connecting, the legacy method, is an on-premise gateway. I say legacy, it will be supported moving forward, but the preferred method, certainly from my perspective, is using machine. So we're going to click on this drop down here and directly to machine. Now you'll see what will happen is this will change, and you've now got machine or username. And you'll see there is Tony Lab Machine. That's the machine that I registered. I just edited the details that you saw, and we're going to connect to that machine. Now you need to put in a domain and username. This can be a local account, a local machine account, or it can be the domain and username of if you're using a work PC, it could be the your domain /username. It could be like that, or it could be an email address, user@domain. In my instance, I'm using a local account. So local accounts have the convention dot backslash. And it's actually Rockstar, and it's Breaking Bad is our lab password. So domain and username, you're going to have to find out what, like, make sure you're okay knowing what that is. So typically it will be your domain and username. It could be an email address, or it could be a local account. So if you are stuck on that, log a ticket and we'll try and help you out. You may have restrictions if it is a work account. You may have restrictions. Hopefully you're using a personal account. If you're using a personal account, then your email address will go here and your password will go here, or a local account. The account needs to be able to log on to the machine. Yeah, they're the accounts that you need to create, that you need to use. Click on create. If it works, this is what will happen. It'll take a while and then you'll get this. If it doesn't, then you'll need to do some troubleshooting to work out what username and password you need to enable that desktop to cloud connection. Hopefully that's working. One option that we do have, if you are stuck on this part here, it means you have to redo the labs earlier, but we can supply a VM for you if you are really stuck here, but there is a small fee for that. But hopefully you've managed to sort it out, and if not, drop us a ticket and we'll troubleshoot as much as we can. So desktop flows. Here's the flow that I created today. There's a search box here if you've got lots of flows to find them. We're going to use the enter an invoice. Now what you're going to see is our input variables that we created in that desktop flow are now visible to us in this connection, which is pretty neat. So I'm just putting some junk in here. Let's put in account name, contact email, now some interesting things here. You'll notice that in this here, this is the details. When we created the variable, this is the details area. This here is the external name, external variable name. Just be aware of that. And then we've got run mode. Run mode attended or unattended. We're going to choose attended, which means that it runs when we're signed in. There is a module later on where we talk about attended and unattended automation and actually do a demo of that. But for now, we're just going to choose attended and then watch that video if you're interested in finding out the difference. There are advanced options here as well. So you can choose a priority. So if there's a different process in the queue that's a lower priority, this one would jump over it. We're going to click on save and then we're going to test it. So once it's saved, we're then going to click on this test icon here and manually, and then test. Double checks everything is good to go, and then you click on continue and then run flow. Now what's going to happen now is you will notice that because it's running in attended mode, the automation will in effect take over my machine. So I've just minimized everything, and what you'll see now is that, so if you're clicking along with me, make sure that you're not touching anything on the desktop, because what you're going to see is the flow take over the user interface and do what it needs to do. Let's just wait. It can take a minute or so for that to happen. And here it goes. And you'll see here what it is doing. It will enter in the data that I input previously. So that shows that it's working. That's the data that I put in onto the web. So that's showing the flow working, and that is the scope of this lab. That is the end of this lab. The important thing to do in this lab is make sure you've got that connection working. If you don't have that connection working, log a ticket with us. We'll try and troubleshoot it with you. And we'll get into the rest of this in a short while. Thank you for watching, and yep, log a ticket if you're stuck, and we will see you in the next lab.